Hello and welcome to this edition of Inside the Americas. I'm Ketevan Gorjestani. Coming up in this program, a major security breach for the CIA. The White House accidentally revealed the name of the agency's Afghanistan station chief to thousands of journalists during President Barack Obama's surprise visit in the country. Mexico's Zapatista rebel leader bows out. Subcomandante Marcos, famous for his ski mask and his pipe, announced he was stepping down and changing his name after decades in charge. And we'll take a closer look at a tiny little grain that's taking over our plates, quinoa. We'll head to Bolivia, the world's largest producer, to see how the growing demand for the healthy grain is changing the lives of local farmers. But first, outing a CIA official is considered a crime in the United States, and that's exactly what the White House has done. During President Barack Obama's surprise visit to Afghanistan, his team mistakenly revealed the identity of CIA station chief in the country to thousands of journalists. Delano D'Souza has more.
Hello, Bagram. Well, you know, I know it's a little late, but I was in the neighborhood, thought I'd stop by.
A surprise visit by Barack Obama. Unlike all overseas trips by an American president, this was no impromptu decision. Everything was planned down to the last detail, and it's details that's put the White House in hot water. According to the Washington Post, the name of the CIA chief in Afghanistan was mistakenly revealed to members of the press. It was only after the report was distributed to over 6,000 recipients, a journalist for the Post noticed the name of the station chief listed. The Obama administration has asked journalists not to release the name in order to protect the identity of the officer. Intentionally revealing the identity of a U.S. intelligence agent is considered a federal crime. And this isn't the first time an officer's cover has been blown. In 2003, an aide of Vice President Dick Cheney revealed the identity of CIA agent Valerie Plame. Her husband was a diplomat critical of the Bush administration's motives for the invasion of Iraq, and the revelation forced her to resign.
I felt like I had been hit in the gut. It was over in an instant, and I immediately thought of my family's safety, the agents and networks that I had worked with, and everything goes through your mind in an instant.
Another case of an outing was in Pakistan in 2013. The political party of former Pakistani cricket player Imran Khan released the name of the top CIA operative in the country, accusing him of carrying out drone strikes. And 3 years earlier, Jonathan Banks, the Islamabad station chief's cover was blown through a suspected leak by the country's intelligence services over an anti-drone campaign. Faced with death threats, he was forced to leave his mission.
More James Bond than low-level analyst. In his first interview to the U.S. media, Edward Snowden claimed the U.S. government has tried to discredit him by downplaying the positions he held while working for the U.S. agencies.
Well, it's no secret that I was trained as a spy in sort of the traditional sense of the word, in that I lived and worked undercover overseas, pretending to work in a job that I'm not, and even being assigned a name that was not mine.
The 30-year-old who leaked nearly 2 million documents revealing the NSA's large-scale surveillance programs is currently living in Russia and wanted on espionage charges in the U.S. Subcomandante Marcos no longer exists. In an enigmatic statement, the pipe-smoking masked leader of Mexico's Zapatista rebels announced he was stepping down. Speaking in the third person, he said his persona was being retired, leaving many wondering whether he was actually stepping down or if this was just another stunt to reinvent himself. Kathy Clifford has the story.
Filmed in full view after a 5-year disappearance, the mysterious Marcos appeared on horseback in his classic pose, smoking his signature pipe through his balaclava. He was attending a funeral ceremony for a fellow rebel. The following day, a surprise announcement, as he said he was stepping down as the Zapatistas spokesman.
What I'm about to say will be my last words in public before I cease to exist.
A speech that closed the curtain on a 30-year career, spent struggling for more rights for the southern Chiapas region's indigenous Maya Indians. but it's not clear whether he was hinting at a change to his name and persona. The subcommandant's known for speaking in riddles. He said his figure, now a popular T-shirt logo, had become a distraction. He spoke of Marcos in the third person, saying that those who had loved and hated him should know he was only a hologram, which was now to be destroyed. The Mexican government have identified him as a former university professor, which he denies. He also denied rumours he'd become ill. Marcos led the Zapatistas' 1994 rebel uprising. Their 12-day battle against Mexican forces cost some 140 lives. Marcos soon became a hero to leftist activists and intellectuals, and a peace pact was signed in 1996. Soon after, the San Andrés Accords granted autonomy, recognition and rights to the indigenous people, although the text has never been applied in its entirety.
The uprising essentially served so that Mexican society would recognize the historic role of the indigenous communities. But after they declared war, the Zapatista army became a little trapped.
Marcos's next campaign was a peaceful one, but with little results, the leader gradually withdrew from public life. At the start of this year, the Zapatistas celebrated the 20th anniversary of their uprising, but Marcos was nowhere in sight. Meanwhile, the rebels have clung to land seized during the battle, refusing government aid. They've set up their own autonomous government in Chiapas that oversees around 30 communities. The state's still one of Mexico's poorest, with 3/4 of the population living in poverty.
We now turn to Colombia, where incumbent President Juan Manuel Santos is fighting for re-election. With nearly 26% of the vote in the first round, Santos came in second behind challenger Oscar Iván Zuluaga. The former finance minister won 29% of the vote. But despite the setback, Santos is sticking to his electoral strategy focused on ending Colombia's rebel conflict by negotiating with the FARC. Zuluaga, on the other hand, the conservative protege of former President Alvaro Uribe, has vowed to put an end to the negotiations. The runoff will take place on June 15th. It's a favorite of foodies and health enthusiasts alike. Quinoa has become a popular ingredient of dishes around the world. The global craze for the grain is changing the farming methods and fortunes of its growers. High in the mountains of Bolivia, the world's top producer, Thomas Waterhouse reports.
These are the women of the Altiplano, a stretch of highlands in Bolivia perched 4,000 meters above sea level. Today they have an extra body. This French businessman is on his annual visit to his producers. They're off to look at the quinoa fields, the pseudo-cereal that Westerners are now raving about.
We're going to take a closer look at the crop at the start of the harvest.
Didier Perriol's company is a European leader in the quinoa market. His network of producers are based exclusively on these high plateaux. The climate might be harsh, but it's perfect for this special plant that's been grown here since the time of the Incas.
We have a great harvest this year. It will reach about 1.50 meters over here when it's all cut. And here you see that the grain has reached maturity.
It's a grain of the highest nutritional value, gluten-free, but rich in iron and in protein.
It's so good. Quinoa can be served with any type of dish. It's so much better than rice.
In less than 20 years, quinoa has helped to pull hundreds of locals here out of poverty. Demand amongst Americans and Europeans has rocketed. So much so that this family sell their harvest for 3 times the price it was just 6 years ago. This homesteader proudly shows off his flat-screen television and his new solar panels.
Here we have a llama's head cooking away. We'll eat it tonight.
The llama population has been the victim of this boom. Villagers prefer to use all their land to grow as much grain as possible to make more money. And therefore there's less reason to keep animals. But their French distributor is all about organic quinoa, and he's hell-bent on convincing farmers to keep up their old ways.
The llamas you see here produce excrement that can then be used as compost. That will enrich the soil. It makes the quinoa grow really well.
He chairs the annual meeting of farmers. This year, he's managed to convince all the producers to keep their llamas and avoid an intensive monoculture of farming that would ruin their land. In exchange, they'll get more money. It's perfect fair trading in practice.
You can count on me and my business. All those who work with me are trying to better understand this magic golden grain.
A 5-hour drive away is this factory built by the French, where the grains are separated from their bitter pods before being exported overseas. 20 years ago, only 500 kilos of quinoa were bagged up here weekly. Today, they turn out 4 lorry loads. Sadly, this boom period won't last forever. More and more countries, including France, are starting to grow their own quinoa. But the crème de la crème of the current crop is still the one harvested in these high altitudes, in the heart of the Andes.
That's all for Inside the Americas. Join us next week for a new edition. But for now, do stay tuned to France 24.